Hello and welcome to a War of the Vision video with me, Raindell. Today is the 6th episode of the Unloved series, featuring this time Gilgamesh. And is he really unloved? Well, he is, and the reason for that is whenever I see posts on Reddit or whatever about people saying that they've pulled Gilgamesh, they're wondering, should they build him? It's going to take so long. Is it worth it? And I see a lot of people saying that no, it's not worth the time. And I, for one, am someone who pulled Gilgamesh fairly early, and I've just been slow building him. And eventually, yeah, I pulled him a couple more times, and I used the unit of choice shard packs to finish him when he was already 89. And I don't regret doing that, because I feel like he provides some things that are very unique in the game, and that alone has value. Uniqueness is what makes units worth building, in my opinion. So let's take a look at his kit and then bring him to Arena, see how he fares. If we look at his stats and support abilities, the word that comes to my mind is average. He is not exceptionally tanky, he is not the most high damage unit in the game, he's not the fastest, he's also not the slowest. He doesn't have incredible resistances, but they're not bad either. So yeah, he's average in terms of his stats. With his support abilities, he can use self-sacrifice to get an actual very high amount of attack. He can also move to jump 2, which can be very important. Otherwise, speedcast is good if you're running him as a time mage. And then I really love slow counter because it slows the enemy, which is very impactful in combat. But Clairvoyant Blade is also interesting because it counters before you get hit, sometimes killing the enemy and saving you from the actual hit. But so far, nothing exceptional. What does make him really good, in my opinion, is his main job, and especially his Kotetsu ability. This is a very large, it's a 5x5 diamond shape, so it hits a lot of people. And then when you look at the damage mod, it's only 121%. It reduces slash resistance before doing damage, which means it does a lot more than it seems. If you're wondering how a hybrid scale attack works, on warthevision.info, there is a very nice article that describes what it works, the way it works, how the damage calculation is done, which abilities counter it, and which doesn't, so I would invite you to take a look at that. It will be a much better explanation than what I could provide. Now, Gilgamesh also has 3 other great abilities in his main job. Self-haste, Armor of Discontinuity, which is a 3x barrier against any type of damage. That's also great. And then his Excalibur is a move and attack ability with a pretty high modifier. So it's a great main job. And decreasing slash resistance is something very unique, even at level 89, or 79 actually. Gilgamesh can be used in raids if you're running them solo or in tower content to allow you to hit enemies that you could not otherwise deal heavy damage to. Okay, enemy has 30% resistance to slash. Well no, they actually have minus 8% resistance to slash if you bring Gilgamesh in your team. So it can be used to either use an enemy that already has weakness to slash, put that weakness really, really high, and then deal a ton of damage with your other units, or take resistance into a weakness or into a much lower resistance. So it's very, very powerful. Now, his Winged One sub-job, not really worth mentioning in my opinion, so let's run into his other roles. And he can be used as a support with the Time Mage job, or as an attacker with the Soldier job. And in my opinion, I really prefer the Time Mage job. First of all, it means his AI will keep him in the back until he can attack instead of going forward, and since he's not especially tanky, if he moves forward too quickly, he's just going to die. So I like that part. And then in Time Mage, he has access to Haste and Quicken, which are great abilities and can really allow you to tailor your arena team's AI to act the way you want it to, moving your tank forward, for example. As a soldier, he does get a couple nice things, including Hazard Form, which further increases his attack, and then some Paralyzed Edge, which can possibly be nice. But I find that even if he is in the soldier job, he often just relies on Kotetsu, because it just deals so much damage and such a high AoE that he often won't use his soldier abilities, even if you're running him in this job. So I have a preference for support personally. Now, what's he going to get in the future? Well, in the future, his EX job will give him a couple really nice upgrades. The first one being his Kotetsu will now dispel auto revive. Then his Excalibur will get a dispel for all buffs and haste, and that is very, very strong. Units usually spend the first couple turns of combat buffing themselves, so you just remove that. And then it also removes hate, which not everybody knows, but that means if you hit the enemy Engelbert after his Taunting Blade, well then, fine, you've just liberated the way for your other units to go hit these squishier guys in the back. So Dispel is very strong. And then he will gain one additional ability that increases magic resistance and nullifies a couple status effects for himself and one ally he targets. This is interesting, but I don't see this being incredibly game-changing, since we have the Spellblade job in the game that just provides more magic resistance than this. Alright, so we've ran 2 different teams today. Let me begin by showing you the one with Gilgamesh as an attacker, and then the one with Gilgamesh as a support. So, with Gilgamesh as an attacker, we had the following build. Let me show you the stats if you want to reproduce something like this. What we've used is the Winged One main job with, well, basically, Kotetsu, Armor of Discontinuity, and Excalibur are on. And then in his soldier job, every single attack is on, so if there's one that's the best option for him, that's what he'll use. But I turned off Hazard Form because I don't want to put anything else above his Armor of Discontinuity. Our other characters are Rosa. I'll quickly show you the stats if you want to do something like this yourself, if you actually pulled for Rosa, which I know not many people did. And then we have Kilfei, and here are her stats. Now in our support team, this is what we've been running. Gilgamesh has the following stats. It is the same loadout that we'll be using on all our teams today, so we won't change anything in terms of stats, but the Time Mage's abilities, the only ones that are turned off are, the only ones that are turned on are Quicken and Haste, meaning that that's really all we want this job to provide. Here are Rose's stats. We're running her as a side healer, and then a very decent attacker when she gets to throw her Ice Crystal arrows. And we have Rain as our main tank here, and let's quickly go over his stats as well. So with that said, let's get into battle. Alright, so here we begin with our first battle. We're fighting an opposing Rain with Sakura and Ayaka. I really wanted to target a magic using team because here our Gilgamesh is run as a support, and his goal is to send Rain up front and then empower slashing attacks for our team. And we kind of have a synergy where Rosa will empower slice attack, where Rosa will empower ice attacks, making Gilgamesh's attacks stronger, and then Gilgamesh can empower slash attacks to be stronger, thus enabling Rain's attack to hit harder. So every member of our team is kind of supporting other members. Hopefully they perform the way we wanted to. This team has seen a little bit of playtesting, but in this map it's really difficult to make a character like Rain with only jump 1 work properly, because they're going to move to the side quite a bit instead of attacking in many scenarios. So you kind of need to target opponents that won't move to the side too much and that will instead move forward. Otherwise, our characters will just have trouble doing their job. Now, Kotetsu has a very decent damage. While Gilgamesh is not, I would say, a top tier attacker unit, he still has very decent damage, especially against ice type units or units that are not innately resistant to slashing. So with this, he basically took the enemy down in one hit. So that was very good. He is, however, very AP intensive in terms of what he uses, so that can lead to some issues. So right now, as you can tell, in his Time Mage sub-job, he will always prioritize his Time Mage skills over his TMR, for example. So now we have Aldo's TMR on him, which should allow him to regenerate a lot of AP, but as long as he can keep casting Haste and Quicken, he will over other abilities, and that's also over using his armor, his Armor of Discontinuity skill. So he prioritized buffing others in this sub-job over anything else, often being an issue. And in this fight, we had the issue of Rosa trying to heal Rain a couple times and then just whiffing every single time, so that might cost us the battle as well. It's pretty unfortunate, but at least Rain's doing his job of just keeping the aggro forever. So I guess it's a battle of healer between Rosa, who's on healing duty since the beginning, and then the other guys. Now, something that I've also made that is a mistake is I have not turned off Frostblade from Gilgamesh, and he uses that, and it's not a bad ability, but it deals really low damage and it consumes his AP, so I would honestly prefer to see him use any other kind of ability, a TP skill or whatever, and then follow that up with a more powerful Katetsu or Excalibur. So I'm going to turn that off for the next battles. Now, fortunately, Rain has tanked long enough for our guys to do their job, so I guess we can see that it worked out. But it was a pretty tough battle. Let's upgrade it a little bit for the next one. Alright, slightly different enemy team this time. They have Agrias, who's going to be doing the tank job, and might just CC other guys, because we're not especially resistant to those CCs that she can do. But our tank, although he's weak to physical attacks, is fire type, so we have that going for us. And again, we need him to draw the attacks from the enemy mages and let our attackers do their job. So if that happens, we should be in a decent shape. We're still running Gilgamesh with the Time Mage sub-job. We'll stop doing that in other battles and use him more of as an attacker. What I like about using him as a Time Mage is it keeps him backwards for a while, and then he's basically a great support, as are basically every Time Mage with those abilities, but he also enables, he also has some good damage capabilities, whereas most Time Mages in the game just either they're buffing or they're not doing much, I feel. So he can do a lot when he's in a lot after the buffs, when he gets in range to attack. Okay, this time Rosa gets to heal herself. It's one of the dangers of using hate on one of your characters is all of your other characters wants to sort of use their heals and buffs on them. So yeah, Rosa's running after him. And now we really see the power of Gilgamesh's Katetsu. It has such a large AoE that it can actually hit people in ways that they don't expect. So that's what we saw there. And especially against wind units like Halmido Lila, it is quite destructive. Now it's only Agrias against our team, and even though she'll get to confuse a bunch of our guys, I don't foresee her winning in any way. Now again, Gilgamesh will attack and never use his TMR abilities as long as he's in this Time Mage job and there are enemies within range, so he won't get to use all those TMR that we have equipped for him. He'll just keep basic attacking and doing his other attack abilities, so he won't have that much of an impact, I guess. But then again, I say that, but he's used Katetsu on all three enemy members, killing one of them and dealing serious damage to one other, and that's really the reason we won. He basically won us the fight. Okay, so again with Agrias, Sakura, and Halloween Little Lila. In this team comp, the danger is once more having Gilgamesh die before he can do his damage. When he's not in a support sub-job, he's going to move forward a lot, and he's the only member on our team that has jump too and can go over the gap in the middle. Now, for Gilgamesh to use Armor of Discontinuity, he needs to have every other ability turned off, because it's sort of the last in his AI priority. So in our comp here, he's going to be using his TMR ability, and then since that's the only other buff he has available for him, he's going to cast that in subsequent turns if he can't get in range to attack. Now, for now he can actually attack the enemy team, so that's what he'll do. And I'm fine with it, because with 50% defense penetration, his attack power has become very, very strong. Something interesting though is Kotetsu, since it's a hybrid attack that hits both on physical and magic technically, it is blocked by, well, it can be dodged by physical and magic dodge, so that's why Sakura was able to dodge it, even though it's not a purely magical attack. So that was unfortunate for us, and now we can see that he casts his Armor of Discontinuity since he didn't have any other buff in his kit. Now this is the final turn with his defense penetration, which is why he does quite a bit of damage to the enemy Agrias, and we're looking in a pretty good situation. He managed to survive the enemy's initial attacks, and now it's just a matter of how long it takes to get her down. Now you can tell, without the defense penetration, hitting Agrias is a whole different story. Fortunately, we do have the power of magic attacks on our side, so even if she uses Sentinel, she is bound to eventually go down. But that takes a while still. Sentinel is a very, very strong ability. So there we go. Alright, so we've seen him do a lot of damage in fights. We've seen him be a pretty good support with his time mage abilities. So, is he worth building? Well, in my opinion, if you have pulled him, you should at least get him to 79, because that way you can use Kotetsu to just reduce enemy resistances in a lot of content like Raise or Tower, and honestly, there are so many slash units in the game that having a slash attack enabler will be useful basically forever, in my opinion. Then if you've tried him out at 79 for a while and you want to take him further because you think you could use him in PvP, for example, or in higher level content, great, at least you'll know whether you like his gameplay or not. So I would advise at least slow building him in the barracks eventually, and then with the hard quests, because he's a really good unit. Is he worth the double cost? Not necessarily. I don't like spending Vision Aura double cost for units. There are so many options in the game, but slow building him, I would definitely recommend. As always, if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. It will make it that much more likely that you'll see those kind of videos in the future. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.